for CNN's Meanwhile China, which explores what you need to know about the country's rise and how it's influencing the world. Hong Kong CNN. Xi Jinping has a plan for how the world should work. A year into his norm-shattering third term as Chinese leader, he is stepping up efforts to challenge America's global leadership and put his vision front center. Greeted as a country, changes of the world, our time, and historical significance are unfolding like never before, Xi told his audience at the Belt and Road Forum. China will make relentless efforts to achieve modernization for all countries and work to build a common future for humanity, he said. Xi's vision, though cloaked in abstract language, encompasses the Chinese Communist Party's emerging push to reshape an international system it sees as unfairly stacked in favor of the United States and its allies. Seen as a rival by these countries as they grow increasingly assertive authoritarian, Beijing believes it is time to change this system and the global balance of power to enable China's rise. Reject efforts counter it. In recent months, Beijing has been rolling out weighty policy documents, new global initiatives, as well as speeches, diplomatic meetings, forums and international gatherings large-small, aimed at gaining support around the world. For many observers, the campaign has raised concerns that a world modeled on Beijing's rules, where iron-fisted, autocratic rule, features such as heavy-handed surveillance, censorship and political repression, could become globally accepted practices. But pressure from China, American wars overseas, precarious foreign policy choices and deep political polarization have intensified questions about U.S. global leadership. Meanwhile, pressing issues such as climate change, Russia's war in Ukraine and Israel's attack on Gaza have sharpened debates about whether the West has taken the right approach to respond. All this dovetails with long-standing calls for an international system in which countries around the developing world have a greater say. Many of these countries have significantly increased their economic ties with Beijing during Xi's rule. The drive to build $1 trillion in global infrastructure over less than a decade is what leaders gathered to celebrate in the Chinese capital last month. China appears to welcome a future in its worldview, but Xi is clearly being pushed to elevate his message at a time of rising tensions with Washington. Amid the risks of the U.S. China rivalry, and as the procession of world leaders visiting Beijing in recent months, including Xi's meeting last month, becomes clear, while many countries may be skeptical of a world order orchestrated by autocratic China, others are listening. Chinese leader Xi Jinping, Russian President Vladimir Putin and other leaders pose for a group photo during the Belt and Road Forum in Beijing last month. Shen HongXinhua Shared Future, the more than 13,000-word policy document,